Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Sacred Womb podcast, where we talk about all things to do with befriending our menstrual cycle, deeply healing both our feminine and masculine aspects, and how we can indeed utilise our cyclical nature as a natural spiritual pathway that's encoded within our bodies. I'm your host, Melanie Swan, and you can also go to thesacredwomb.com for more information and loads of fantastic free resources. Hi there, I'm Melanie Swan, and today I'm going to be talking to you about spirit animals. And the main spirit animals that are working with us on the Sacred Womb site are owl, bear, earthworm, grandmother spider and badger. So there are a host of others that pop in and help out, but they are like the totems, the sort of main ones, the representatives. So I want to start off by addressing something that's in kind of our popular belief system, is that spirit animals might be an aspect of ourselves, or they might just be an archetype, or they might indeed be spirits. So I just want to express my own experience with them, and my experience is that they can be all three. Firstly, that yes, they are independent beings that do exist outside of us, of course, with the notion that we're all connected, but they are independent, they have an independent free will. Secondly, yes, they do represent certain aspects of creation. So, yes, they have certain gifts or medicine, as we might call it. So, an owl has the ability to see in the dark, but that gift, that medicine, also transfers to a psychic gift. So owl can actually see into darkness, the dark places within us. And also sometimes we might experience these things in dreams or in other aspects of our imagination as parts of ourselves. We might imagine we're owls or bears or stuff like that, and that's perfectly fine. But I just wanted to be clear that they are independent beings and they are very willing to help us if we want to engage with them. So, yeah, I would just want to make that really clear because it's very important that they are acknowledged as they are here to help, and they are magnificent, actually. So I wanted to just start off as well by saying that I've worked with spirit animals for a while, and that I connected with them by clearing my own consciousness more and more. So I was working as a drama therapist, and I was seeing people weekly, and I got a fair bit of experience, but I could feel that there was more to this therapy, more to healing, and I didn't know what it was, but I could feel this background witchy feeling is the best way I can describe it, I think. And so I started going to these shamanic camps where we walked in the woods and drummed and did sweat lodges and stargazing and storytelling and sat around the fire in a teepee, and it was absolutely awesome. It cleared stuff that I didn't even know was there in a way that I don't even know how it did it, So my senses started to open up more and more, and I started to see owls in rocks. And the first time I connected with owl, who is how I describe as my main totem, it's the main spirit animal I've been working with for a while now, and it came to me firstly through a drawing. I just felt like drawing one day. I got a blank page out and some pens, and I drew an owl. And then I kept seeing owl's face. It would come into a rock when I was fire tending. So when rocks are heated up, these were granite. So they were made from, I think they're made from lava. So they expand and change as they get hot. And owl's face would appear in these rocks. and it would let me know that it existed in this physical reality, because I needed that anchor. I'd not experienced these things before that I could remember, so it was very cool that Owl did that to let me know it was real, it was there. Secondly, I just want to point out that I'll refer to these spirit animals as their name, and sometimes I say it, which isn't a particularly apt description, but I don't want to say he or she, because spirit animals have a unified consciousness. They're neither male or female. Sometimes I experience their more female or masculine aspect, but that's how we split things in this reality, and it's not their reality. So they are unified beings in their, as we would split it out. Their gender, as you might say, is unified. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so Owl came to me through rocks, and I purposely didn't read anything about Owl or spirit animals because I just wanted to learn and have my own experience. So I just started to sort of make friends with this thing, and it's some days all I could think about was Owl and her and the way it flew and its wings, and I could feel its feathers, I could feel its softness. And at some point I did a drum journey, and Owl came to me in this journey very, very vividly, and it taught me to see. It taught me how to look past the surface of a situation. And when I say that, that might seem quite basic, but this was actually tuning in and seeing the energy, the base energy that a situation is based on, is formed from. It's like the energetic template, which was enormously helpful in the healing work I used to do. So being able to see like an owl, obviously Owl's medicine, Owl's gift, one of its major gifts is to be able to see in the dark. It hunts at night. Now, this ability to see in the dark transfers to its psyche as well, so it can see into the darkness of our psyche, into those dark places. So I've been working with Owl on soul retrievals. Owl will lead the way, lead the pathway to the parts of the fragments where souls have got fragmented off, where parts of the soul have got fragmented off, and it will indeed help bring them back as well. So that has been enormously helpful. I've worked with, it must be hundreds of people now on the soul retrievals. So, and I trust Owl. I feel a very strong bond and a strong trust with Owl. And it's never let me down, ever. It's always there. It's now my gatekeeper. When I do any work whatsoever, it can see. It really soars above everything, and it can see. So I'm very happy that Owl's with me. Well up a bit, actually. You can probably hear me voice wobbling a little bit. So yeah, it's a very trusted. I feel very grateful, because they can leave. Spirit animals can leave. If you're not really engaging, or for whatever reason, they do have free will, and they can go. And maybe Owl's just with me for a certain amount of time. I've no idea, but I know that when he feels his job is done, he'll leave. She will leave, and something else will happen. So if you're listening to this and wondering what your spirit animal is, or you're wanting to connect with your spirit animal, I would recommend that you try your favourite creative exercise. I really like drawing. Some people like dancing, some people like singing, some people like going out into nature more. But you can set your intention to see what animal is working with you right now, and ask that spirit to make itself known to you, and make sure that you're nice and clear and say, look, you could say something a bit like, look, this is the first time I've done this. I need really strong signals in this reality. Please, can you show yourself to me? I want to work with you. Now, one thing that spirit animals I've experienced are really happy about is being expressed in this reality. So, like, I'm not a big collector of things. Actually, I like to keep my space nice and clear. But I've got, and people buy me these things, which is very sweet. I've got owl pads to write on, postcards with owl on, and they're really, really cute reminders to help me remember that owl is there, and to express that essence in this reality, and for that to be like acknowledged and appreciated. They're not so bothered about being appreciated, but they don't have that same sensation as us. But to know that they are working with us and be acknowledged is very cool for them. So that's mainly what owl does. An owl is the main totem, in fact, for the sacred womb site. Owl is very strongly connected with the moon. Of course, it hunts at night, and the moon is owl's companion because it shines the light. I think that's all I want to say about owl today. I might just have a look at my notes. I did make notes, see if there was anything else to say. Right, okay. So I also wanted to add that owl has long been a familiar, like a friend or a companion of witches, goddesses and wise women. You might see owl on Athena's shoulder or in a witch's portrayal. And that's due to its ability to see in the dark, obviously, as I've talked about. That is into the dark of the soul, which is beyond the veil of illusion that our physical reality is all that there is. And of course, there's more. It can see beyond our false self, beyond any masks, because owl has such a piercing gaze. So it sees past untruth. And something really important to say about owl is that it flies silently as well. So when I was doing the healing work and working with owl, it did not leave a mark on anybody's psyche. It did not disturb anybody or anything. It flew in and it flew out silently and with a piercing gaze. It's very, very effective. Now, owl can induce fear in some people, and particularly in organised religions, and some tribes used to be scared of owl too. However, I really want to let you know that there's a great love that comes from this being. There is absolutely nothing to fear from owl. It's what is fearful is that when we feel seen, when we can feel truly seen without any of our masks, without any of our stuff, that means our ego's been called. Our full self, owl doesn't have any of that. And so we become fearful that we're really seen, even though as humans we tend to, that's what we really want. We want to be seen, we want to be recognised, we want to be loved. But without all our stuff that we think we are, it can be quite scary. So there really is nothing to fear from owl. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you don't fear owl anyway. You've probably got an affinity with owl anyway. But I just wanted to be nice and clear. There's some tribes did think it was a signal of death. And maybe it is sometimes. Maybe owl did signal that sometimes to the tribe. But there's nothing wrong with death. It's part of life. So, in short, in summary, owl teaches us to see, to become seers. And so how we can use this medicine, how we can utilise it in our reality as women in our daily life, is that during our moon time, the time we bleed, our senses become highly tuned to be able to, so that we can go beyond our everyday reality, so that we can see past our own illusion. And then we can bring through visions and insights for our own good, for the good of our family, for the good of our community, so that we can progress, we can see beyond this surface level, this physical reality of what's happening, and we can really address what needs to be done from the foundational level to make positive changes so that we can evolve as beings. Oh, I do love talking about OWL. There is more information on OWL, thesacredwomb.com. If you go to library, there is some stuff on there. So let's move on to the next animal that is working with us on the sacred womb, and that is badger. So this is not, I would say, badger's not the most popular spirit animal. I've heard generally been around the shamanic-y kind of spiritually people quite a lot, and they want the horse, the owl, the bear, and these animals that are small. Well, badgers aren't that small, but they live underground or aren't so cute in a way, tend to get overlooked, but they're very, very powerful and equals to all the others. So badger, I've worked with badger a lot in healing work. And sometimes badger is called the aggressive healer, which isn't quite so accurate. I rather refer to badger as a very determined healer who never gives up. So badger's natural ability to bury under the ground, and it looks for healing herbs. It looks for the relevant herbs for the relevant time. And what it does is tugs on the root of plants to feel its essence, to see, is that the right one? Now, in healing work, that's very important, because if you're rooting around in someone's psyche when you're working together with someone to see, is this the root cause? Is this the root of the problem? You kind of help, with someone's permission, bury into their psyche. This is the essence of what badger does, and goes around and just tugs on little roots and sees what catches there. So that's been a really, really strong companion for me in the healing work I've done. Now, this is particularly useful in healing sexual trauma, healing life after abortion, healing those very, very traumatic events, and really finding the absolute root thing that's going on there. Badger is very persistent. It really does not give up. But it is not aggressive. I have never, ever experienced badger as being aggressive. I understand that badgers only attack if they are attacked. And they're big, kind of weighty animals. But when I'm working with spirit animals, they just get on with it. There's no games. They're just very clear. And that's what they're there for. And they just get on with it. And I get messages like, it's a father, and then I'll ask the person about their father, and of course I use my own skills in this reality to translate those messages and to put it in a helpful manner that is very compassionate. Sometimes I do my best. So badger burrows into the undergrowth of our psyche, and it does not give up. It will find the absolute root. Badger is an animal of the earth, and it also helps us to stay grounded and keep going as we work through very sensitive childhood wounding. And this is why badger works on the Sacred Womb site. There's a library of free resources for healing, and it's a very, very grounded, reliable spirit to work with for sensitive childhood wounding, because it will help you to get right to that touch point so that you can heal it, and it has a domino effect on everything else. But I think badgers are pretty cute as well. I like their nose. I like it when they turn up. It's always a surprise to see badger, because I feel it. I feel badger rather than see it. But I'm looking at a picture right now, and they're cute. They're so cute with their stripy faces. So the next animal that I work with in healing work, and that works through the sacred womb site as well, specifically for womb healing, is earthworm. Now, I was really surprised when this one popped up. I was walking down the high street of Totnes in Devon one day, and I was thinking about, I wonder what animals going to go with badger. There was one that was coming up, and I kept thinking, I can't, what is this? And I just was walking down the street and I went, earthworm. Earthworm came. Now, again, this seems like an unlikely spirit animal. I don't hear it discussed much, or no one's ever said to me, hey, my spirit animal's an earthworm. But how powerful, how powerful is this earthworm? It can regenerate, and it can examine in great detail. So the medicine, the particular gift of an earthworm, is that it can burrow through rubbish. I mean, think of your compost heap and you have a wormery. So you put loads of worms in there, and the worm will eat its way through what somebody has thrown away, like the rotten food, and it will poop out very fertile soil. How amazing is that? So a worm can help transform our deep-seated emotional charge. So when we can get to the root, let's say example, so we get to the root with badger, and we tug on it, and yeah, it hurts a bit, right? That's the bit that stings, it's sore. So when we shine the light of our consciousness on that area of wounding, our awareness, without judgment, with compassion, goes through that. And we use earthworm's medicine to just scan through that emotional charge. Keep there like badger does. Just stay with it in a nice grounded way. When we can feel that pain enough, it dissipates. And it is consumed by our own compassion. So if we think about earthworm as just this long thing, and with compassion, it just chews up all that stuff that we think is rotten and we want to throw away, and it will regenerate it. It will help us to regenerate that. And out comes wisdom, which is fertile ground for our psyche. Now, not many people really want to do this job. Being a therapist, a healer, it's kind of a null title, really, because it's what are we anyway, right? But I've had people say to me, like, oh God, that's amazing, how have you done that, and stuff like that. I mean, it's not a job I wanted to do forever, to be honest. I enjoyed it while I did it, but it ended at some point. But it's a difficult job in a way. It is one of the jobs that nobody else wants to do. And worm is very helpful in that, because not many people want to clear up rubbish as rubbish is seen. It's actually, rubbish isn't rubbish. It's our wisdom is in there, our joy is locked in there. It's weighed down with emotional charge a bit. So worm helps us get down to the nitty gritty of life. And it shows us that as we go through our stuff, we can kind of chew it up with our compassion, and we can regenerate that energy. We can regenerate ourselves. So the way our wounds can play out can be very subtle indeed. And worm comes in when we need that support and guides us how to work through those wounds with enough detail so that the emotional charge dissolves, and then we transform the experience from upsetting, wounding, something that holds us back, into fertile ground for new growth. And that's just the way we transform, which is fantastic. So a very unlikely little animal there that is so, so powerful. Okay, and the third area, the third totem, it's actually the fourth, but it's the third area I'd like to talk about and finish with is the sacred womb area. So we've started off with attunement and healing and deep healing, and now we go on to the spirit animal that works with us to awaken our sacred womb center and our actual ability to live from our womb center and weave a matrix of a new reality from our womb center, because our womb center has a different wisdom than our human self. It's bigger than us, it's more than us, and it's connected to the all and everything. It's an expression of the void in this reality. Now, grandmother spider contains the threads of her life-giving web within her. As women, we contain the ability to weave webs of energy that are templates for new consciousness. Now, the spirit animal spider, I can feel her coming in on my left now, and she's always big. The spirit animal of spider is always big and black with big hairy legs, and I always refer to her as she for some reason, with a she's got a big juicy body. Now, spider helps us to become aware of that web that we are weaving in every single moment, with every single word, with every action, thought and intention. We are weaving our reality. Now, when we begin to weave with awareness, and we're not acting from a base of fear, we're acting from a base of what is needed for me right now, what is needed for my family, what is needed for my community, what is needed for our evolution. When we begin to weave with this awareness and bring through new consciousness through our womb centers, and especially when we weave in unison with others, grandmother spider says this is key. We can build a very, very strong web indeed. Now, this induces fear in some aspects of our own consciousness, because we do tend to be frightened of our own abilities. Because living with this awareness also comes with a knowing that we must take full responsibility for our lives. When something's happened, we have in some way woven that reality. This is not to blame ourselves, or if we have a difficult time, say, oh, well, you've manifest that, or how have I brought that on myself? That is not how this works. Because often, yes, our past has driven our situation. It may be something playing out, but also other people's stories are interacting with our own as well. So it's very, very important not to get into that kind of new agey kind of, well, you bring everything on yourself, because we kind of do, but we kind of don't really. So as we weave with awareness from a base of love, from a secure base within, from a nice solid psyche, then this is not controllable, i.e. we become fully responsible and do not blame the government, others, anybody else for our own state of being. We take that power back and we weave our worlds from the inside out. This is a very, very powerful aspect of life, an aspect of creation, and an aspect of spider medicine that she teaches us. So often the fear we feel when we sense spider is the fear of our own potency and our ability to co-create. That's not manifest this or that or this thing or that thing. Sure, we can play with that, and sure, we can exercise our creation muscles with it. But ultimately, as women, and men, of course, as well, but as women, we co-create in a specific way. we can weave our reality. Our wombs create a matrix, a projection upon which our reality is built. Very, very potent stuff. And like I said, there's nothing that can control that except shame. And shame will shut that down. And that's a problem we've had as women for quite a long time. So that's Grandmother Spider. I mean, I could talk about this all day, but I'm aware it's a podcast, and how long do I talk about it for, I want to keep it interesting for you and fresh. So I just want to end on a note where I summarise what an animal totem is, what an animal spirit is, if I can put some definition on it. So a shamanka or a female shaman works with power animals. Please don't get caught up in that description too much, because we can naturally work with animals. We don't have to be initiated by anybody. That's the old paradigm. As women, we can initiate ourselves. And if you're listening to this and thinking, shit, I think I've got a spirit animal. I think there's something working with me. I think there's something trying. Like, you can't learn this stuff out of a book. You've got to experience it directly if you're going to be working with them genuinely. And who cares if it's a shaman or a medicine woman or this or that? If you're working with a spirit animal, you're working with it. So spirit animals are an aspect of a natural creative wisdom in operation. Animal totems hold and share specific healing medicine. Each one is gifted with a sacred medicine power of its own individual creation and expression. And it reflects this creation, which is an aspect of the great divine, which is independent, supportive, transforming and empowering. This is the nature, the intrinsic nature of creation. A spirit animal is an expression of that. How beautiful is that piece? There we go. So you can read some of that on the Sacred Womb site in the library under animal totems for different sections. If you've got any questions, email me at Melanie at melanie@thesacredwomb.com. And if you want to sign up and if you want somewhere to talk about this, basically, and ask questions in a safe space, that is a space where anything you say about this is going to be accepted and supported. No question is too small or silly or whatever. Then subscribe to thesacredwomb.com on the website, and you'll get access to our private Facebook group. It's so important to trust our intuition on these things, and go draw, go dance, go create, and see if there's a spirit animal that's working with you and what it's bringing. Okay, I think I'm done for the day, and I'll see you next time. I really hope you enjoyed the podcast and that you got some useful tips out of it that can make a genuine difference in your daily life. And if you'd love to work deeper with this stuff, then do head on over to thesacredwomb.com, where you can sign up to receive the weekly newsletter and an invite to our private Facebook group, where you can share, learn and grow with like-minded women in a safe, supported space. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do leave us a rating, and your comments are very, very welcome. And I'll see you next time.